In America, we love to raise our flag, stand with our hands over our heart, and sing the Star-Spangled Banner. What many do not know, though, is how and why those words were written. Tonight, we'd like to share with you the story behind our national anthem.
Stars and Stripes Theater presents the story of the national anthem. The year was 1812, and America and England were at war again.
In Baltimore, Major George Armistead was in charge of the American fort, Fort McHenry.
Major Armistead wanted the British to know that Fort McHenry belonged to the Americans, so he hired Mrs. Mary Pickersgill, a local seamstress, to sew a gigantic American flag for the army.
Mrs. Pickersgill, I want you to make a flag bigger than any you have ever sewn for our fort. I want it to be 30 feet high and 42 feet wide. I will fly it over the fort for all to see.
Sir, I would be honored to make this flag for you, but my shop isn't big enough to make such a flag. If I can't find a place to make it, I will sew the flag.
Thank you.
Mrs. Pickersgill was able to use the floor of a large warehouse in Baltimore to spread out her flag. She had to work at night when all the workers had gone home, so she and her daughter Caroline sewed by the light of oil lamps.
Mother, these stars are so big. They are nearly 2 feet across. They will certainly be seen from the harbor if the British come here.
Sew them on well, Caroline. This flag must be very sturdy and strong. 15 stars and 15 stripes will wave over Fort McHenry soon.
When the flag was finished, Major Armistead proudly raised it over Fort McHenry. Then, in the summer of 1814, the British ships arrived in the harbor, and the Major knew that Baltimore was now part of the war.
The war was ugly. The White House and Capitol building were both attacked and burned. There were prisoners taken on both sides. One of the prisoners was Dr. William Beans. Dr. Beans was captured in a British raid and taken as a prisoner to the largest warship in the harbor.
Major Armistead asked 2 men to go to the British admiral and talk to them about releasing Dr. Beans. It was a dangerous mission, so he chose 2 brave men, Mr. John Skinner, a military negotiator, and Mr. Francis Scott Key, a lawyer from Baltimore.
Before they left, Francis Scott Key took time to visit the British prisoners being held in the fort. He had them sign letters saying that Dr. Beans had been kind to them and treated their wounds. He put the letters in his pocket and took them to show the British why they should release Dr. Beans.
Early on the morning of September 12th, John Skinner and Francis Scott Key got into a boat and together began to row out toward the British ship. They held a white flag to let the ship know not to shoot at them. They had come to talk, not to fight. When they reached the ship, they were given permission to come aboard and talk to the admiral.
Sir, we are here to talk to you about the release of our friend Dr. Beans. If you will agree to let Dr. Beans go, we will let some of your men go free too.
I am sorry, but I cannot consider freeing Dr. Beans.
Sir, before you make your decision, take time to read these letters from your own men. They will tell you themselves that Dr. Beans has helped them and treated their wounds.
Wait on the deck until I have had time to read these letters and request your request.
Mr. Skinner and Mr. Keyes made their way to the deck of the ship. From here, the fort looked far away, but they could see the large American flag still waving above the walls. While they were waiting, 2 sailors standing nearby began to talk to each other.
Well, it won't be long now until the battle begins. By this time tomorrow, Fort McHenry will belong to us.
That fort will never be able to survive the blast of our cannon. We'll shut her in.
Yeah.
and Mr. Keyes were shocked to know that an attack would take place that very night. They must get back to the fort and warn their friends. But they could not leave until the Admiral had made his decision about releasing Dr. Beans. Soon, the Admiral called for them.
Yes. Good.
Gentlemen, I have read the letters you brought, and I will agree to release Dr. Beans. However, I cannot allow you to leave the ship. I believe that you may have heard our plans, and I cannot let you warn the fort of our attack. You must stay here on this ship until the battle is over. Then I will release you all. Good day, gentlemen.
John Skinner, Francis Scott Key, and Dr. Beans stood on the deck of the ship. There was no way for them to send a warning, and they knew that Fort McHenry did not have enough soldiers to hold out for very long. As the sun set that evening, they looked across the water to see the stars and stripes flying bravely over the fort.
I wonder if we will see the flag tomorrow, or if the British flag will fly in its place.
We will know soon enough.
Early the next morning, while it was still dark, the British cannons began firing. All around Fort McHenry there were explosions. As the bombs lit up the night sky, the men peered through the smoke to see if they could spot the American flag. At first they were able to see it, but soon the air became so filled with smoke that they could hardly see it at all. All through the day the battle raged and on into the next night.
Finally, after 25 hours of battle, the cannons stopped. The battle smoke began to clear, and the sky began to lighten. The tired Americans rushed to the deck of the British ship and strained to see the fort.
What can you see?
Nothing yet. There's not enough light. The sun is coming up soon. It's coming up now, and soon we will know how we fared.
I believe I can see something.
Me too.
I can see the flag. Yes, it's the American flag. Fort McHenry has been defended. The Americans have won. Quickly, I must have pen and paper. I must write about what has happened and what we have seen.
So there on the deck of a British warship, on the morning of September 14th, 1814, Francis Scott Key began to write the famous words for which he is still remembered.
Oh, say